What's up, y'all? It's Servitor. I didn't expect to go back to back with the comic book movie videos. That was just, off the dome. But I saw something, it was a birthday invitation for Robert Downey Jr.'s 60th birthday. Happy belated birthday, Robert Downey Jr. And it showed a picture of a Doom costume, an outfit, an attire of sorts. And it had people speculating that this would be the costume or the suit that he would wear, that he would don, or at least one of them in the movie Doomsday. Me personally, I don't mind the suit. It's dope. It's cool. I've always been a fan of alternate attires for villains, heroes, etc. I've always been a fan of it. The suit doesn't look bad at all. You feel me? But that brings me to the topic of the video. I'm not worried about Doctor Doom in the upcoming movie Avengers Doomsday. I'm not worried about him at all because, okay, let me start here. We had two interpretations, live action, of Doctor Doom already from just the year 2000 alone. We had the two movies with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba and crew. We had those two movies. The first movie had Doom as the main antagonist. I liked him. I liked Doctor Doom. He was dope. But to make a long story short, he didn't feel like the demanding, the commanding, the over-imposing, the boss Doctor Doom. He didn't feel like the Doctor Doom that we all know and love. He felt like an alternate Doctor Doom. He felt like a different version of Doom in a comic book not many people read. That's not saying he did a bad job. I liked him. But I can see why a lot of people had issues with him. Because, again, he didn't feel like the main Doom that we all know and love. He felt like, a Doctor Doom, an alternate version of Doom in a comic book not many people read. Again, that's not saying he's bad. I just understand the issues people have. And that's the issue right there. And then people mistaking that for saying that he's a bad Doctor Doom. He's not a bad Doctor Doom. He just doesn't feel like the main Doctor Doom. He didn't feel like the main guy. That's the problem. Especially in the sequel where he came back. I liked him in the sequel too. They lowered his screen time. They lowered his importance to the plot because they wanted to bring in Silver Surfer and that fraud of a Galactus. But I didn't mind him in the sequel. I didn't mind him there either. But then again, he felt even more minuscule than the first movie. Which he already didn't feel like the main Doom. And then 2015 came out, and I'm going to completely skip over that because he didn't feel like Doctor Doom at all. That was a charade, okay? That was a fraud, a clown, a mimic, an alternate, okay? That was not Doctor Doom. Now we have our third interpretation of Doctor Doom coming out. Well, it's coming out next year, right? 2026? So that's going to be fun. But he's going to be our third Doctor Doom since the year 2000 came out, okay? It's kind of like ironically... Ironically, it just occurred to me, he's the Tom Holland of Doctor Doom. You know how the year 2000 came out, we had Tobey Maguire, the 2010s we had Andrew Garfield, and 2020s we have Tom Holland. It's really ironic that 2000s we had, I don't know their names, so excuse me, but we had Fantastic Four and Rise of the Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom. 2015, where Miles Teller is in, we had that fraud Doctor Doom. Let's just call him Dr. D. And then now, 2020s, we got Robert Downey Jr. So that's cool. That's cool. It just occurred to me. That's nice. So he has to feel like the main Doom that we all know and love. And the reason Doom didn't latch on to modern audiences movie-wise is because, like I said earlier, he felt like an alternate. He didn't feel like the main version of himself in the previous incarnations. He didn't. So that's why modern audiences, movie-wise, aren't really attached to Doom. Thanos out the gate, Guardians of the Galaxy, when he was on our road, and he felt like Thanos. Kang the Conqueror was introduced in a Disney Plus TV show. And then the only movie that he was in, he got squad wiped by a whole bunch of ants. So, no attachment there. They did it to themselves. And this is coming from a fan of Kang. Now, I've been a fan of Doctor Doom since I was a child. Ultimate Spider-Man, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers Assemble, obviously the comics. The two Fantastic Four movies I pointed out earlier, I've been a huge fan of Doctor Doom. Straight up. These are my top 100 favorite characters of all time. Robert Downey Jr. has to be unique. He has to stand out. He has to feel like the Doom we all know and love. Because if he don't, and he just feels like another variant, another alternate version of Doom, it's going to be repelling to us fans because it's going to feel repetitive for us. It's going to feel like, well, if he's not going to feel like our main Doom finally, why even make this movie? And then, since he's going to feel like a repetitive character, Robert Downey Jr.'s name is going to be dragged through the mud because he's cast as this Doctor Doom. And now his legendary performance as Iron Man will be salted because, it will be shafted because of this version of Doom. Which, again, I'm hoping doesn't happen because I'm not worried. The Russo brothers haven't let me down. In fact, they haven't let any of us down in the comic sphere. Not one time. I went into it in the last video, but Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame, I can go on. They have not let us down in the comic sphere. And I doubt that they will now with another Avengers movie under their belt. So if they're confident, I've been saying this since he's been cast. If the Russo brothers are confident in him, then I'm confident in him. Robert Downey Jr. haven't let us down in the comic sphere. The Russo brothers haven't let us down in the comic sphere. There's nothing to be worried about other than what's happening at face value. It's been basically confirmed. A lot of people are going to die in this movie. A lot of people are going to die. The live stream that they did was only half the cast, or I think a little less than half of the official cast. So that's dope. That's genuinely, and they're going to save a lot of surprises for the actual movie, which is cool. I respect it. I knew what Infinity War was. I read Infinity Gauntlet. I was a comic fan. Like, I knew Thanos won in the end. I didn't think they were actually going to do it. Because this is the MCU here. They take the blueprint from the comics and they modify it for the big screen. When you think of Ultron, Hank Pym made Ultron. Ultron made Vision in the comics. Movie-wise, Tony Stark made Ultron. I didn't think they were actually going to have Thanos win. He actually wiped Earth's mightiest heroes on 2 different planets. Like, dog. Yeah, like, it was spoiled for me on YouTube. Like, it showed the, like, few seconds when the camera pans over and it shows, like, his face, like, some of his face next to his hand in the snapping position. I legit thought it was Photoshop. It was spoiled for me and everything in broad daylight, and I thought it was Photoshop. I didn't click on the video, I just saw the thumbnail. I'm like, there's no way on God's green earth they're actually going to have Thanos wipe the Avengers, wipe half the universe. Of course, he didn't do it for Lady Death. That's where the modifications come in. He didn't do it for death. He did it for balance in the universe, as all things should be. But at the end of the day, he still did it. I didn't know he was a fan of Kobe Bryant, bro. Job's not finished, so he finished it for him. Like, dog, I did not expect that. That was crazy. Now, obviously, this isn't called Secret Wars. It's called Doomsday. It's going to latch on to some things from Secret Wars, I believe. And I know, again, it's not going to be hand in hand with the comic panel by panel. But I'm really curious on what they're going to take the blueprint and how they're going to modify it. I am extremely curious. And the only reason I'm really excited movie-wise is because of the post-credit scene from Captain America: Brave New World. And I'm not gonna lie, that new Thunderbolts feature they did for the UK looks kind of clean. It looks kind of clean. My excitement went from a level 2 to maybe a level 4. And Fantastic Four, I don't want to get into that. That's not what this video was about. Imagine they bring Miles Teller back as like the Maker, because if you read the comics, you know how big of a role these 2 Reed Richards play. Imagine they recast T'Challa, because T'Challa, he needs to be in this. Like, it's not a question. They bring in Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards, and since he's, not Reed Richards, they bring in Miles Teller so he could redeem himself as not only a Reed Richards, but a new version, the Maker. It's ironic, since his movie was so bad, and he was so bad as Reed Richards, he failed as a hero, he became the villain, dog. Just imagine, dog! Imagine, just, hey, put me in the writing room. Put me in the writing room. Make me a casting director. I'll do the job. Kevin Conroy didn't want to play Bruce Wayne at first. He wanted to be Commissioner Gordon. The casting director sat him down and she was like, nah, you got that Bruce Wayne in you. You got that Batman in you. And that's how we got the best Batman performance of all time. Put me in the casting director role. shoot, you know? You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, okay. This has been Servitor. I'm gonna end it off there. I am not worried for Avengers Doomsday, at least Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. I am not worried for the MCU's Doctor Doom at all. I am worried for fucking Reed Richards. That's who I am worried for. That's besides the point. I am not worried for Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, and you shouldn't be either. But it's okay if you are. Now I'm ending the video for the third time. It's been Servitor, and I'm out. Peace.